Hey guys, so today you and I are going to talk about remote work and Java. So let's get into it. So the question in question was, Frederick, should I take a job as a remote Java developer? And the short answer is, it depends. Because it always depends, right? It always depends. And the thing that it depends on this time is, first and foremost, what is your skill level? Because I don't know that. And the second thing is, what type of company are you dealing with? Without those pieces of information, I can't give you a straight answer, but I will see if I can guide your thought process on this. So when you do remote work, you should know something. And that is that if you work in isolated manner, unless your company is really optimizing for remote work and really invest in making sure that remote work is a part of, that's just part of their company culture. That's how people do things, and that is not that common. Some companies are all remote and some companies have a really strong connection to remote workers. It's a difficult thing because if they don't have that, you will become isolated extremely quickly. And you will get to a point very quickly where you are most likely perceived as a lower value developer than most of the other developers that work in-house. So what I mean by that is it's not that they don't appreciate you as an employee. It's more that the remote worker, you might find that people forget to invite you to meetings. You might find that not that many people contact you. You might find that it's harder for you, even on the other side of things, to get help and answers to your questions and things like that, because it's a hassle. There's a barrier. There's a distance barrier and there's a personal investment barrier. Usually the only level of natural communication people feel up to pretty much do whenever is talking. Like, just, the person is sitting next to me, so I go, hey dude, can you look at this thing here? That's the level of resistance that most people are okay with. But if I need to send you a message and then try to talk to you over some Slack or chat app or something like that, I mean, then it's almost some stuff I can't even communicate to you over a remote channel, so I need to go into a video conference with you, and then maybe you're not there and so forth. And most humans just feel that it's much easier to communicate naturally without resistance with someone who's in the room. Now, if that's not you, you can imagine that you will, and maybe that's what you want. Maybe you want to work in a fairly isolated way and not be bothered by all that many people. And that brings us to the second thing that I was saying. What's your skill level? Because this remote work thing, it might work absolutely perfectly, either if you're in a company where this is so natural that most people do it, that most people are working remotely and everybody's in a video conference together and you do mob programming or pair coding on a regular basis and everybody just has a good time, or you have some common chat where everybody's just hanging out, right? Then this might work perfectly because you're all in the same situation. But if you're the remote worker and everybody else is in the office, then, well, they are going to think of themselves as the company, and you are just this almost consultant type of person who's just there to basically give them capacity. But they may not be as invested in keeping you keeping that connection with you. And if you are fine with that, that's great. But your skill level is very important here, because if you are a junior developer and you're just starting out and you're learning the ropes, this can be a little bit tricky for you, because you really, really need as much interaction as possible with senior experiences. That's how you're going to propel your career forward. That's how you're going to learn at the most. If you work in isolation, it's not going to be as easy for you. And even, a remote job is much better than no job. This is still it's still a great opportunity if it all works out for you. It's just that it might be slower. That's what I'm saying. It's not going to necessarily be bad. It's just that you can imagine that if you need help on a fairly regular basis, which is usually the case for a junior developer, you need a lot of help. Unless you have a very clear and stable communication channel between you and the people in the company who are supposed to help you, well, then everything's going to be delayed, and it might be the case that you can't deliver on time, then you feel bad, and because you don't really have that daily interaction on all these subtle little communication channels that we humans have through body language and tone of voice and all of this stuff, you might feel intimidated to talk to people, and all of a sudden you come into this bad downward spiral that ultimately leads to you having anxieties and stuff like that. I'm just warning you about this. This does not have to happen. As I said, it can be absolutely amazing as well, but it very much depends on the company. I would say that if you're a senior developer that really knows your stuff, then it doesn't really matter. I mean, if you almost never need help with anything and you kind of just are fine with being a little, you know, if you feel that it's more valuable to you to be able to work on your own terms and like be wherever you want, and you feel comfortable with that work situation, then go for it. Then there is no then just take the job, dude. But I still argue that you should have a look at the company and the culture, because honestly, in my experience, it's so nice when you work with people who kind of embrace the remote thing and like everybody is on board and everybody is still equal. And it's so sad to see when people get like kind of demotivated and feel like they're not really part of the team because they're the only, like one of the few remote workers that are just helping out the main teams that are working inside of the company, because the culture in the company is great and everybody's super friendly to each other, but the remote worker is basically this person that, oh, I forgot we have that guy over there and he's supposed to be in this meeting as well. And it's such a sad thing to see. So what I want you to take away from this is that if you're considering, you and the person asking this question is considering to start working remotely as a Java developer, start by asking yourself, what is your skill level? Because if you are a very junior developer, I think that it's probably better for you to start your career by being on premises and like really get the help that you need to really build those skills and the connections and network and like all of that stuff, because it's going to make a very big difference in how fast you progress in skill. The second thing that you should consider is what type of company are you dealing with, because some companies, they kind of like treat remote workers as these like, well, I'm not gonna say like satellites, like these people who aren't really part of the company, and some companies treat them really well and you have a really good, strong connection to each other. So it all comes down to your skill level and the type of company that you're dealing with. Have a great day.